Yeah, I'm not.
Live once again. Week 1, NFL. It's going to be a great week. Actually, a lot of close games. Looking at the slate here, some big games early Friday, Thursday, Sunday. So, who's excited for football?
I'm telling you what. After that first week of college football, kind of put a damper on what I wanted to do this upcoming weekend. But
Dude,
I think it just means that I'm due.
I think I got every big game wrong besides Ohio State.
Fair. I mean, I feel like the majority of the betting public did, but
ACC pride, best conference in football.
Okay.
Yeah, how was Bill's first game?
Not great.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
Oh yeah, you're UNC guy, Chapel Bill.
Yeah,
it's
gonna be a little bit of a process. I feel like. I mean, kind of going into it, I feel like we all knew it wasn't gonna be all flowers from the jump, but definitely not what you want to see week 1.
70 new players. They just kept saying that.
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts?
I saw the dog. I saw there was a dog in the booth.
Oh yeah, Kirk Street's dog. That was actually very hype.
Yeah, the one good part of that game, probably, other than the first drive.
Oh, I just did something wrong. Okay, so we met here 6 days ago. Any thoughts change? Cam, did you end up placing any of your bets for the future?
So I ended up placing 2. I'll have to go back. One of them's the Patriots over on the win total. There was another one too that I'll have to look back on. Unfortunately, I do the pod on my phone, so I can't do it currently. I was hoping to place a lot of them after a successful weekend on college football, which we just kind of breezed past. That did not happen for me. But hey, maybe after week 1 we can place a few of those futures, maybe with a little bit of adjusted odds, but we can go from there after that. But
yeah. Yeah, all right. Let's just dive right in because we need to skip past this college weekend. It'll actually piss me off. So Thursday Night Football, defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles open at home. Big trade happened. We didn't talk about Micah Parsons to the Packers. He's not going to be playing on the Cowboys this season. Eagles opening at 8.5, big number, biggest spread on the board maybe. So we'll start off with Michael. What do you think about Cowboys, Eagles?
I'm thinking
Thursday Night Football.
That this is a gross game to start off the schedule with. I get it that you got to put the Eagles there, but you could have put them against probably 8 other opponents, so it would have been a better week. First game of the year, but that's all right. You got to give Jerry what he wants. I feel like Thursday games are usually close, and especially interdivision Thursday games on the first week of the year. So I'm going to take the Cowboys on this one. Think the Eagles still win. I could see it being like a late garbage time score or something like that to bring it under 8.5. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles are still going to be a great team. I could see Dak throwing for a bunch of yards in this game. Little comeback player of the year, early start. But yeah, I don't see the Cowboys winning this one, but covering.
So how do you think it plays out? Like Eagles just score late and win? Or they're just leading the whole time? Backdoor?
No, the Cowboys score late and cover.
Okay. I fuck with the vision. Cam?
Yeah.
Any opposing thoughts?
No, I'm kind of agreeing with Mikey. I can also see it being more of a back and forth divisional battle. As Mikey said, not just is it a Thursday primetime game, it's also a divisional battle, and it's the first game of the entire year. I'm not expecting either team to come out flawless. 8.5, like you said, is going to be the biggest spread on the board. With all that being said, I like Dallas plus the 8.5. I originally saw it at 7.5 for Philly, and maybe you tempt buying a point to 6.5, but I can only see this spread growing larger. So the larger it goes, the more I'm liking Dallas, honestly. Obviously, the loss of Micah is kind of tough, but at the same time, we'll get into it later. Like Micah might not even play week 1, so I don't know if he would have if he stayed with Dallas.
He's playing.
Okay, but is he going to be that same Micah Parsons that we all know? I don't know. I mean, maybe you're expecting that. I'm not. I'm leaning towards Dallas at the plus 8.5. I think it's going to be a closer matchup, and then maybe a backdoor cover by Dallas. I could also see it being going back and forth, and then Philly pulls away, but not more than 9 points. So I'm taking the dog in this fight.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys would take the Eagles because I'm taking the Cowboys as well.
First team ride.
Bad sign.
Interesting.
Bad sign.
Well, it's like thinking back on all the obviously the Chiefs won by a touchdown last year in the first game, but that game came down to the last possible play.
Yeah.
2 years ago, the Lions beat the Chiefs as underdogs in week 1. I feel like week 1 we're always expecting this crazy game, and it's always kind of slower paced. Especially the first Thursday night game, a little bit soggy. The only beatdown I'm really remembering is when the Chiefs just destroyed the Pats that one year. And I think that was the first game of the season. But I like the Cowboys to cover. I think they have offensive pieces to do it with CD and, tease the running backs maybe later on. But I think there's a committee there that can formulate something. You sign Jake Ferguson. You have – I forget all the time they have George Pickens. So – I think this could be a back and forth. It is a divisional game. I think there is a reason why this is the first game of the season. They wouldn't just line up this game if they thought it was going to be a blowout. So I think everyone's kind of expecting this to be closer than it is. This was 7.5. Now it's 8.5. I'm just going to keep waiting until this to jump up, and I'll take the Cowboys to cover the spread easily. I think I'm seeing, like Mikey said, maybe a backdoor cover. Maybe Cowboys are kind of down 2 possessions the whole third, fourth quarter, and then are able to get their shit together. Our Eagles are able to get their shit together and this game out. All right. As always, the chat's with us tonight. First comment, Jake Freeland. He says, "Here we go. Welcome early on to the Dubcast. Loyal viewer, respect. Fantasy question. Just took Dak in fantasy draft. How are we feeling?" Honestly, I was looking at Dak because the last 3 drafts I did, I was in that range where it's Drake May, Caleb Williams, Dak, and Justin Herbert, and I went Justin Herbert in one, Drake in another, and then I took Caleb over Dak. So I do like Dak the least out of them, just because I think they are going to be losing a lot of games, so maybe they can come from behind. But I just think there's more potential with the other 3 players I named. And also, as we know on this podcast, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but I do think Dak's not the worst option at quarterback. I don't know, Cam, you gave a thumbs down. What was that about?
Yeah, I mean, if you're comparing him to the other 3 that you just mentioned, I like the run value, especially with Drake. And I even think Herbert has decent legs. Maybe he's not scoring as many touchdowns, but maybe that changed a little bit this year. But even with Caleb, I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan, but I'm very anti-Dak. I'm also just anti-Cowboys, even though I picked him at plus 8.5. But fantasy-wise, throughout the course of the season, I'm not a massive fan of Dak going forward. Maybe that's what you're looking at, but
I think they're gonna play a lot of high-scoring games. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say that Dak's gonna lead the league in passing yards or anything like that, but I could see him being top 5 in passing yards.
Interesting.
You said comeback player of the year 2 minutes ago.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I stand by my picks.
All right. He clarifies, very late pick. So I do like Dak as a flyer, backup quarterback. Cam Fain, loyal viewer to the chat. One of the biggest appearances. We have an episode actually coming out that is so awesome that you guys can't wait to see. He says, don't hear enough people talking about Pickens. Can someone explain that to me? I feel like that has a huge impact on. I don't know what's the on. But I did just say this, that no one's talking about Pickens. The NFL offseason is so weird where the NBA offseason I pay a lot of attention to, and then I always kind of don't follow NBA. With NFL, I follow every move, and I just instantly forget what happens. So I don't know. George Pickens as wide receiver too. I think that's a pretty lethal offense where you can sling the ball around. They're not going to be divas. I don't know. Any thoughts on this?
They're not going to be divas.
If they aren't.
I was just going to say. I think we kind of addressed this in the first pod where there's almost too many egos in that room in Dallas. Where, even if Pickens has a couple of good games, that's good for the Cowboys overall. But then that makes CD upset because sure they'll have good stats, but they probably or most likely aren't winning those games. At least in my opinion, I don't see them being extremely successful early on in the season. I don't know. I can see this exploding before week 8. within that entire offensive room, especially the wide receiver core.
Sorry, I'm muting myself while I'm eating apple slices, so the viewers don't have to hear me chew. Okay, enough on the Cowboys.
Are they from McDonald's or?
No.
Oh.
One left. Stop. Okay, game number 2. Chiefs-Chargers. Friday night YouTube game in Sao Paulo. We saw last year the Packers and the Eagles go head-to-head in Sao Paulo. That's where the game where Jordan Love got hurt. And, some say it wasn't the same the rest of the season since then. Looks like not defending, but back-to-back, went to the third Super Bowl and lost. Chiefs are -3. Neutral site game. Cam, we'll start with you here. What do you think for Chiefs-Chargers? Friday night.
So I also wrote down the over and unders on all these games. I really like the under, but I know for the pod's sake we're picking spreads. I'm going with the Chargers plus the 3. I had it 3.5, so I like that a little bit more. Obviously, if you want to buy half of a point, obviously we have a lot of time before Friday night. But I'm huge on the Chargers, especially divisional matchup, especially those Brazil games. They're not very the cleanest of games. First week of the season, second game of the entire year. I don't know. I think the Chargers make a little bit of a run in the division, as I mentioned in the previous podcast. So I'm going to go with the Chargers plus the 3. Maybe they lose this game, but I think it could be within 3, if not maybe win outright. So
what's the number on the over-under?
It was 46.5. So
I see.
Yeah, I can see like a 24-17 victory or 24-20 victory. I mean, that would be 1 point over, or 24-20 would actually fit the mold for that if the Chargers win by 4. But I don't know. I'm liking the under in that. I think it's been sloppy. So I know last year was an absolute shit show with, I think the Packers played somebody that Friday night in the same Brazil. I don't think it was the same stadium, but in Brazil. And it was like basically nobody could run around. And I have a funny feeling that they're not going to alter their soccer fields just for the NFL as they haven't in the past when you go over to Europe. So I like the under in that, but for the spread picks, I'm going to go Chargers plus the 3.
All right. Michael, we watched week 1 together last year, and I told you one key rule, never bet against the Chiefs. Will you be following that rule for this week 1 game here?
No, I will be picking the Chiefs, but I feel like it's a bad move. Because I've been doing some research on Super Bowl losers in their first game of the next year, and they're I think 4 have covered in the past 15 years or something like that. So the odds aren't great for the Chiefs in this one. But I'm not very high on the Chargers at all this year. We kind of talked about the Rashawn Slater injury in our previous pod. I think that's a big injury for them because he's probably one of the top 4 or 5 left tackles in the league. But yeah, I think the Chiefs squeak one out. Yeah, not looking forward to watching this one.
Will you be watching?
I hate watching both of these teams. So, yeah.
Okay.
Just a no from Mikey. I'm watching the game.
I'm going with Cam. I'm taking the Chargers. I'm just going to switch it up and take big swings week 1. I'm expecting this season we have to switch up the narrative of just everything being so obvious. I think Chiefs starting 0-1 makes sense where it's everyone's going to be oh, they're done, whatever. They're going to do the Brady thing, and then they're going to come back and start winning games. Or just the Patriots kind of dynasty thing where they would lose a couple games early. I think it's going to start happening to the Chiefs here. I do like Harbaugh. Actually, I really do like, after looking at some fantasy stuff, I do like Amari and Hampton. I think he can be really good. Everything. It's going to be kind of a back and forth game. So even taking the +3, I think it's going to be a close game. I think you can cover the spread there. So that's where I'm at for Chiefs Chargers. We'll move on to Sunday, 1 p.m., starting with the NFC South. It's Bucks Falcons.
There's go out of order.
I told you. All right.
More importantly, Doug, Roman Anthony just left the game with an oblique injury.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so.
It's tightness. He'll be okay. All right, so Bucks Falcons. Obviously, Michael Penix's season here. The Bucks, reigning division champs, go to Atlanta. I'll start this one off. I'm taking the Bucks. I need to see it with Penix. I need to see it with the Falcons in general. Like Kyle Pitts, when's the breakout? Drake London, I feel like is a little bit overrated. Bijan maybe properly rated, but I got to see it all come together and work and this be a cohesive unit, which I'm not doubting. I do think the Falcons can give the Bucs a run for their money in this division as the season goes on. Week 1, though, I'm taking the established core that's been to the playoffs a couple of years. Baker. Is Godwin playing week 1 or is he out until?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I think he's out. It sounds like 4 weeks or so, but
Well, even then they have Evans, Jalen McMillan, and Emeka Ibuka, so they'll be chilling. Kate on. I'm taking the Bucs. I think this could be one of the best games of the day, just because I feel like every time these two teams play, it's pretty close. But I got the Bucs coming away with this one, and by a score at least. Cam, you're nodding your head in agreement. What do you think?
yeah, kind of on the same page. It's more I'm betting against you until you prove it to me. I've never really been high on the Falcons or Penix, and having it be less than a field goal spread with the team that just recently won the division, I'm definitely leaning on the quarterback that's been starting there for several years, and also having Mike Evans and several other reliable weapons around him. I'm going with the Bucs minus the 2.5. So I also wrote the over-under for this game as kind of a peak interest. It's at 47.5. I could see that leaning on the under. I can't see that many touchdowns being thrown. Like I said, it's going to be week 1. It's going to be scrappy across the board. I know we're all hoping for these entertaining games, but divisional matchup, these two, I know they had a high-scoring game early on in the year last year, but I don't know. I can see this being kind of a sloppy late win for the Bucs. So for the pod, taking the Bucs minus the 2.5, but also keep an eye out for that under of 47.5.
Michael?
Yep, I think we're all riding on the Bucs.
This is not a hot start to the pod. The team rise. I don't know. It's making me nervous.
I feel like people are consensus higher on the Falcons than I am,
Fair.
and lower on the Bucs than I am as well. I know they lost their OC, which is
Cohen.
a big deal because they had an amazing offense last year, and Baker was like a top 5 quarterback last year. But if Baker's able to replicate what he did last year and they're able to keep going their offensive ways, then I don't think this is a close game because, I don't know, I just don't have faith in the Falcons. I thought this line would be higher, like 4.5, something like that. Even being interdivision, I don't know. It's just like the talent discrepancy, I feel like, is big here. I think also Wirfs is maybe not playing in this one. So that's also something to keep an eye on.
Okay. Did not know that. That's something to keep an eye on, definitely. He's not playing.
The Bucs are like plus 100 to win the division, so I think Vegas knows something that the Falcons might be good this year. Just saying. Speaking of to that, we have another comment. Why do people think Penix is good? What has he done?
He had 4 season-ending injuries in college and led the league in interceptions in his senior year of college, right?
We might have to fact check that.
I don't know
That's
about
a very elaborate stat. I don't know that off the top of my head, but
no, he was at Indiana, was it? Or
yeah, he was at Indiana before
he balled
went to
like sophomore, junior year. He balled, and then he got hurt, and then he transferred to Washington, brought him to the Natty. They kind of got shut out by Michigan just because Michigan had a crazy defense, but he was making some great throws. I think that game versus Texas, he had some good throws. And then even last season, I didn't actually watch a lot of Penix play because I was on vacation when he was playing, but I heard there were some nice throws. Like people on Twitter were saying he looked good. So, always interesting to see a lefty quarterback and they cut it. I don't know. I have in Dynasty, so hopefully he's good, but I don't have the highest faith. I think he can be like a top, maybe borderline 15 quarterback. We'll see. People do like him because he's older as well. He's kind of like a Bo Nix where you can just pop him right in there. Obviously drafted very high by the Falcons as well. So that's what he's done in this league. We'll see if it continues. He's got a full season ahead of him to start. Okay. Next game, we head back to the AFC North, Bengals, Browns. Browns at home, Joe Flacco, 5.5. Bengals notoriously start the season off pretty bad. So, Michael, what do you think for this game, Bengals, Browns, Flacco defender, I think?
Am I a Flacco defender? I guess I am. I don't know. I feel like this is a game where we look at the line and we say, like, if this game was week 4, week 7, or something like that, what would the line actually be? I think it could be like 10, 11 by that point. So I'm going to take the Bengals here only because of that thought that they're just so much better. Like, I know the stats on their week, like 1 through 3, is not great with Zach Taylor as their head coach, but he's got a lot riding on this season as a head coach in this league. So if they don't start off well, like coach watch, I feel like is on for the Bengals, but yeah, I'm taking Bengals here.
Cam?
Yeah, I agree with Mikey. It's definitely, I think, a prove-it year for Zach Taylor, especially when you have Joe Burrow at not necessarily his prime, but reaching it relatively soon. The divisional matchup kind of scares me a little bit, especially week 1. Like I said, I've kind of been hyping up these over-unders, but the few games that I did have the over-unders that I really liked is the first games that you've mentioned. Over-under for this game is 47.5. Obviously, since these offense has been what has brought them to their success, if they've had any at all. But 47.5 just seems extremely high for divisional matchup in Cleveland week 1. I really like the under, but if it's Cincy minus 5.5, I would take that as opposed to, like Mikey said, if it's later on in the year, it might even be 10.5, close to 10. I'm not high on Cleveland this year. It's going to be very interesting to see what Joe Flacco does week 1, but I'm going with Cincy minus the 5.5 for my pick against the spread.
So you're just slamming unders for every game?
Well, I have some
We'll get to
overs.
it maybe. Okay.
I have some overs as well, but just the way that we set it up, we weren't on the same page. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I'm in agreement once again. I think the Bengals. I said on the preview pod that I think they're going to come out firing in this year. Like, once you get to the trope of them being bad every year, I think it's like, okay, they're just going to fuck you up. And I do think there is something to be said. I think you guys are sleeping on the Browns a little bit. Just the defense of the Browns, I think, can keep them in some games, no matter who's at quarterback. Flacco, maybe Father Time catches up to him, but we saw him last year be decent with a shitty organization recently in the Colts. He led this team to the playoffs 2 years ago. So I don't think the Browns are the worst bet in the world, but I do think the Bengals come out firing. Obviously, they kind of have all their weapons in place. Chase Brown really ascended last year. T got his contract. Jamar. So I think the Bengals will look good. I don't think the Browns will look terrible. I don't think this is a blowout, but I do like the Bengals to cover, maybe win by a touchdown, 10 points, something like that. All right. We'll head to a really interesting game between the Dolphins and the Colts. No, this is interesting because everyone thinks both these teams are going to be really bad. And the Colts are
interesting.
The Colts are at home, minus 1.5, the beginning of the Daniel Jones era. We'll see how long it goes for. Facing off against Tua and the Dolphins, who always play very well at the beginning of the season. So, Michael, we'll start with you here. What do you think for Dolphins-Colts?
Yeah, this is a
doozy. There's no other way.
This is going to be one of the best games of the day. This is going to be one of the best games of the day. Don't cap.
I mean, Dolphins often come out of the gates strong.
It's in Indy. There's not going to be any wind. It's going to be cold.
Indoors.
What do we?
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this game other than I think that the Dolphins will win just because they're playing against the Colts. And I think the Colts will be like a bottom 3 or 4 team in the league this year. I also am not high on the Dolphins at all either. But I do know that they come out of the gate strong past couple of years with Mike McDaniel as their head coach. Tua's healthy for now. Tyreek is getting older, but he's still got some juice left, perhaps.
I heard he wasn't named a team captain. I'm not an X these days, so I don't have my highest news sources, but I heard Tyreek was a captain, now isn't a captain.
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't think that has much of an impact on the game.
Just saying, the storyline out there, you said there's nothing
but
to
yeah,
talk about.
Danny Dimes, go out there and kill it, kid.
I did place
the Dolphins as he picks the Dolphins.
I did place half a unit Daniel Jones rookie of the year. I mean, not rookie, comeback player of the year. So Cam, you're nodding your head in agreement with Mikey saying the Dolphins win this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch a single snap of this entire game. I'm just gonna throw money on Miami just because they're dogs.
Wait, can I ask you a question? How do you watch the games? Because like, do you watch Red
So
Zone?
I actually did this is my first year purchasing Sunday ticket. I usually will stream Red Zone and then have the one game I actually throw the most money on my television. But this year I do have Sunday ticket, so I will be probably multi-streaming, but this will not be a part of any of that responsibility.
What do you got? Quad box? You got six?
I'd rather bash my head up against the wall than watch
All
the
right.
fight. But still, with that being said, I'd much rather take the dog in this fight. If you're giving me points against two of the worst teams in the league, I'll take the dog in that. So give me Miami. I know they're on the road, but Colts isn't really an intimidating place to play, especially nowadays. So I'm going with the dog plus 1.5. I think that's what you have it at. Yeah, taking Miami plus 1.5.
You could be scouting future Patriots receivers in this game, though, for the Colts.
I don't
I'm
want
down.
any of them.
I want all of them. I want every single one. Besides
I just want Waddle. If the only option would be possibly Waddle, anything else I don't want.
They're not trading Waddle in division. They're not trading any of those guys in division.
When is
Michael
he done
Pittman,
with his contract? It's got to be either next year or the year after.
I feel like he already signed. I think Michael Pittman would be a great Patriot. I think he'd fit in really well. Alec Pierce would be a great Patriot. Who else? Downs would be an amazing Patriot. Adonai Mitchell, I'm out on. There's like one more guy. Anyways, I'm also taking the Dolphins, which, we got to somehow spice this up. We're all taking the same teams.
This is not good. I'm not loving this at all.
I like the Dolphins early in the season. Tua is back for now, and Daniel Jones is just someone I'm never going to bet on or back, really. So that's where I'm at. I think the Colts might turn into the disaster that everyone thinks the Dolphins will turn into. So that's where I'm at. I did take the Colts under wins. So we'll see what happens in this game. We have another comment from the chat. Cam Fain says, the Dolphins are getting too much crap! ! Tua's brain should be healed by now, and Tyreek is fast. Remember when they scored 120 points in 2 weeks last year? I think that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But, I think there is a theory in there where people think the Dolphins are going to be terrible this year. And people forget the Dolphins are always kind of in there competing, especially around season. In Miami, it's kind of the opposite of where teams come into the cold and they go into the cold and shudder. Teams come into that heat, and the Dolphins are prepared for it while other teams aren't as prepared. So we'll have to see
on the road.
No, I'm saying in the future for the Dolphins as a general.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see what happens. We all like the Dolphins in this game, so I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I digress. Rat is calling rats. He says this game and the Bucks are complete rats. So I'm assuming that means he thinks the Colts and the Falcons will win. So interesting. Both at home, not the worst thing in the world. Okay, keeping on with the 1:00 slate. I'm sure, Cam, you'll have a lot to say about this one. The hometown team of your home, the Panthers, heading down south to Jacksonville. New coach, you were very out on the AFC South in general, including the Jaguars.
There's a lot at stake with this pick.
So this is my second favorite least matchup of the entire week after the one that we just talked about. So it's a great segue. We'll not be watching a second of this game either. But like I said, I hate the Jaguars. That entire division, I'm just very anti. I kind of like Carolina going in there, favored by 3.5. Sure, they could lose by 3, but they still cover. You have it at 3.5 as well. So I like the plus 3.5 for Carolina. If people are buying the hype on them, I don't get it for the entire season, but this week especially, I kind of like it. Sure, it's kind of that Miami thing where you buy into they're playing in the Florida Heat. It could be a little bit of a game changer, but Carolina's not that much different of when it comes to northern Florida. When it comes to heat, maybe 5 degrees. I mean, they'll be fine in that. The one person I do like on Carolina is Chuba. I am a big fan of Hubbard. I know Mikey liked riding the touchdown scorer for him last year, and I kind of followed that and rode on it for the last quarter of the season, which was very beneficial to me. So I'm kind of liking the Panthers plus a 3.5. Maybe Chuba gets 1, maybe 2 touchdown scores. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely anti-Jags this year. This might be the last year that Trevor's playing there. But that's just my kind of early season prediction on that. But
Interesting. I also placed the Jags to win the division. That being
I
said,
couldn't disagree more.
Really?
All things. I think the Jaguars win this game. I think that it's a statement game for them with a new head coach. I would also do kind of want to watch this game because I'm a big Bryce Young guy. And also, I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how they handle Travis Hunter.
Yeah, you don't want to see Travis Hunter, Cam?
No, there's so many new faces and new places with this Jaguars team. Like you got a new head coach, you got a new technically number 1/number 2 receiver who's also going to be splitting time on defense. I don't know, just not my pick. But Mikey, you can keep going. State your
Brian
case.
Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas is going to have a killer year. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Jags. I also had the Jags making the playoffs. I didn't have them winning the division, but I did have them making the playoffs. And I think they get it started in week 1.
Very nice points, but I agree with Cam. I think the Panthers cover. I think this game's going to be actually. I think this and the Dolphins-Colts game are going to be the 2 best games of the day of just like coming down to the wire. I easily see the Jags winning this game by a field goal. Maybe the Panthers like miss a field goal and then the Jags make one, something like that. The Jags, I feel like don't really start seasons out too well. I think they were like 1-something a couple years ago. But I do think this team is locked in now. You have the new head coaching boost. I don't know why I'm hyping up the Jags. I'm taking the Panthers. I just think Panthers are on an ascension. Jags are on an ascension. So there's going to be like a fun back and forth game between you have Tet on the Panthers versus Travis Hunter for the Jags. So I think there's a lot to watch.
I heard Tet sucks.
I think I said that like a year ago. And I drafted him. All right, I'm just stop talking about fantasy. I don't think Tet will be great, but it'll be interesting for Bryce. Like, I feel like Bryce Young hasn't had like a really true good wide receiver other than like 35-year-old Adam Thielen. So I don't know. I think this is gonna be a good back and forth game. I like this to be a close game, so I'm taking the Panthers to cover 3.5. Not one of my favorite picks, but that's where I'm going here. The chat is back. Ali, avid streamer, says hello, boys. Happy Tuesday, happy stream, week 1. And I think I have a game for you, Cam, that'll make you a little bit more excited to talk about. Raiders, Patriots minus 2.5. We'll kick it to the out-of-towner, out-of-favorite teamer. Mikey, as a neutral viewer, what do you think about Raiders at Patriots minus 2.5?
I think this will be a good game. I could see this one coming down to the wire. And I do like new head coach boost from both sides. So that'll be an interesting thing.
Pete versus Braves.
They're not first-time head coaches, but they're new to those spots. I am going to take the Patriots in this game. I am high on the Raiders, but I think it'll take a couple weeks for them to get in the full swing with Gino. But, yeah, I'm taking the Pats in this.
Okay. Cam?
Yeah, if you're not watching this game at 1 o'clock, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, honestly. This is the only game you should actually care about if you live anywhere in remotely the Northeast, even New York. Like, from Mikey's perspective, like, out of
Jets are on at 1.
the Jets are playing at 1. So
are the Giants. So,
but I mean, even those are the two. Like, even that game, I would watch. Like, I'd go split screen with those 2 games. Like, the fact that we fucking introduced this with Indy and Miami and North Carolina and fucking Jacksonville is insane. But
blame it on CBS Sports. I just followed their order.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I didn't get the rundown on how we were going on the order, but I also love the Patriots minus 2.5. I know this is extremely biased opinion, but we kind of talked about the over/under. I think this might be a little bit of a different Patriots team, especially week 1. And I'm not a huge fan of the Raiders, but they have somewhat explosive weapons. I know we haven't really seen them fully in action, especially in the NFL with Gentry, but 43.5 is kind of low, especially with an unproven. I mean, the entire defense is basically new for the Patriots. We just got rid of our 2 best safeties and basically an entire new backfield in the secondary for the Pats. And then also, I think, like you said, a lot of new faces, new places with the Raiders. I mean, you have a new number 1 quarterback, new head coach, even though they've played with each other before. And then they're going into a completely different wide receiver core with then a rookie running back. I mean, it's just a lot of question marks there. I really like the Patriots to win this game straight up. I think by at least 2.5, especially at home. But I also like the over because there's a lot of question marks on defense. Christian Wilkins is out for the Raiders. So, like I talked about the secondary and the Pats.
He got cut.
But he's no longer
He's
there.
not playing.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunity for an over in this game with question marks on defense, and then also I think the Patriots have a lot more stability when it comes to Drake May being. Even though he didn't start week 1, I think he definitely played the majority of the year and showed a little bit of progress. And obviously, we're all looking for that year 2 jump, especially with an improved receiver core around him. I like the Pats minus 2.5, and then also keep an eye out for that over. I don't think the under is going to be a hammer for the Patriots like it was for the past 2 seasons.
I kind of disagree with you on the defense. I feel like I would trust a Mike Vrabel defense to a fault at least. I think even if they he's got to have. I mean, I kind of said last week how he might not really know what he's doing with the player personnel. But I do think that he can kind of get the guys together, and they do have some of their pieces from when their defense was so good. So I don't sleep on the Patriots defense. Raiders defense also has been slightly increasing over the years. So I don't know how I think this game is going to go at all. So I'm probably not going to touch the over under, but I'm going to go with the Patriots as well. I mean, ever since this got announced in the schedule, I think this is an easy, winnable game to get the wagon going for the Patriots this season, get some hype behind the team if they start 1-0 and get a win over the Raiders. I mean, they started 1-0 last year, so I guess we saw how that went. But I think this is a fun game where you have, I do think this is one of the more interesting games of the 1 p.m. where you have Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, Geno Smith, Drake May year 2, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Stephon Diggs for the Pats. So I think this is going to be a nice back and forth game. I think we'll, both these fan bases are heading in kind of a reset where they're kind of expecting their team to be pretty much a lot better than they were the last couple of years. But I do like the Patriots at home to cover. The spread's telling me that this is basically a toss-up, but the Patriots have the home field advantage, so they're more likely to win this game, and I'll back that because, the Patriots do have a somewhat strong home field. So I'm rolling with the hometown Pats as well. I'm sure Cam's excited to talk about this one. Cardinals Saints.
Whoa, we're skipping over Mikey on that too?
No, Mikey said Patriots.
Did he?
Start us off.
Sorry. Also, maybe I missed it, but also West Coast going into a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast. Just throwing that out there as well.
10 o'clock game. Right? Isn't that what they call it? Okay. Never mind. Cardinals Saints. This is another, this is the third biggest spread on the board. So the Saints at home, a lot of people think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think all of us said that on the last week's podcast, predicting the whole season. Cardinals, have been kind of the same old story the past couple of years. So they head into the Dome as 6.5-point favorites. So big away favorite. I'll start this one out. I'm taking the Cardinals. I think the Saints are going to be a team that we're going to be banning all year, especially with Spencer Rattler. And the Cardinals are a super hard team to trust. However, I feel like there is a level of trust there where the Saints is like the floor. So I think the Cardinals, I at least know they are going to be competitive most of the time. We know what Kyler Murray is. Is he one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL? Debatable, probably not. But, we know he can give a top 20, top 15, sometimes top 10 performance. I'm taking Kyler Murray. Also, Marvin Harrison had a really bad rookie year. Expect him to bounce back. They still have Trey McBride. James Conner is, maybe running out of time in the league. But I like the Cardinals offense just on paper. So I think they have enough to get this done pretty easily. And, a lot of people in week 1, these spreads are pretty tight because we just need to see things play out. That's kind of why I didn't bet a lot in the college football. So, there are picks that I like better than others, but I do actually really like this pick, the Cardinals to cover, because I think the Saints are going to be awful. And most people have said it, but it's hard to back up an actual spread when they have a spread like this. I hope this doesn't jump to 7.5. I do like the 6.5 number. So Cam, you're not in agreement with me there. What do you think for this game?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wrapped it up there. I mean, I definitely like the weapons around the Arizona team as opposed to the New Orleans team. And then it's kind of tough to talk about this game without addressing the quarterback situation. As much as I'm not a fan of Kyler Murray, I think it's astronomically better in Arizona than it is in New Orleans. I feel like New Orleans has no idea what they're really doing, even though they're running out the rattlesnake for the, I guess, third time in 3 years, even though it hasn't been really fully backing him. I don't love the spread of 6.5. I can see it being a little closer than that just because I don't like either of these teams. I really like the under, even though it's one of the lower unders. It's 43.5. But for the spread, I'm going to go Arizona minus the 6.5.
Michael, you're being very stone-faced. I have a feeling you're taking the Saints.
I'm not taking the Saints. This is the only big spread that I took the favorite on.
All right.
Which is crazy that it's the Cardinals, but that shows how little faith in the Saints I have. I kind of disagree with Cam on the under hitting on this one. I think there's probably going to be a couple pick six or two from Rattler, and Kyler is known to put up big numbers occasionally. And with this being probably one of the worst defenses in the league for the Saints, that I could see that happening. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say on this game. It's going to be bad. And I'm taking the Cardinals.
This is a game that I would have no problem not seeing a single down from.
Yeah.
Probably the one game I actually have pretty much no interest in of this whole slate. Okay. Maybe a game you'll want to talk more about, Michael. Steelers-Jets. Big time rivalry game. Aaron Rodgers, he disrespected the organization. Maybe some would say, not the most what's the word I'm looking for? Happy or
not the most cordial exit.
Cordial. I like that word. Yeah. Not the most cordial exit. A lot of stuff went on behind the scenes. You were saying on this podcast for a while that he's going to be a Jet or retire. He comes out of free agency late, signs with the Steelers, and all of a sudden he's playing right back in your stadium week one. I'll start this game because I feel like you always like to listen to what we have to say. I'm taking the Steelers. Their defense is too good. I think there are games when Aaron Rodgers has these vendettas and when he builds up these narratives in his head that he plays really well in. Not anything specifically from his Jets tenure because we all kind of saw how that went. But when he was on the Packers, he could really do a lot with that. And I don't know. I think him and DK could be a sneaky connection that people are kind of sleeping on just because DK can go deep and, he's kind of slept on as a wide receiver overall at this point. And they don't have a lot of weapons outside of him, but they just need a couple of those guys to step up. And I just can't trust Justin Fields to beat this defense, although it is at home. I think this is a very tight spread, which is promising for you, Michael, but I don't see this going the Jets' way, in my opinion. Cam, what do you think?
I'm actually leaning towards Mikey's side.
Mike is set aside, technically.
Yeah. So we broke. I feel like we were kind of riding each other's wave for I think almost all of them, if not one. But I think I'm going to break the little bit of a tie here, and I'm going with the Jets plus the 3. I had it at plus 2.5, but I'll take the extra half a point. I mean, it's a revenge game for both of them. I'm leaning towards the home team. The over-under 38.5. I really like the over in that, honestly. 38.5 is extremely low. And I kind of think this Jets team might pop off a little bit week one. Not saying that they'll have success the rest of the year. Unfortunately, Mikey, don't know if you want to hear that, but I could see a huge explosion from Justin Fields week one. And then leading this team to a victory, getting all the all the hype around them, and then maybe falling off of a cliff week 3. But I'm very anti Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh Steelers, so there's a lot of bias going into this pick. Because I had the Steelers as one of my favorite of the unders in week 0 for the futures. So kind of leaning on the Jets to take care of business at home, and especially when I'm getting 3 points. I mean, even if I lose on a push, I would take that. I'll still get my money back. But that's one of my favorite picks of the 1 o'clock slate is Jets plus 3. So I'll pass it off to you, Mike.
Well, the Jets fan, take the Jets. I feel like you have a checkered past every time you take them.
I do. It's true. I don't know. I think we're going to flip the script this year, and we're going to pick them, and they're going to win. So I'm taking the Jets.
I like it.
I don't really care about the revenge game aspect of it per se. I get it. It's storylines, whatever.
Yeah.
But
it's a narrative-based league.
It's a narrative-based league. That's why the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
We don't need to talk
Yeah,
about
so
It's week 1. We can't be thinking about that.
I think this game comes down to whose defense is getting takeaways, and I think that Aaron Rodgers being a statue in the pocket is going to play into the Jets' hand. Aaron Glenn's defense is very blitz happy, and Aaron Rodgers is has not been great against the blitz in the past couple of years because he hasn't really been able to move around so much as we saw last year with the Jets.
Sorry to interrupt. Is Cam Hayward going to play? Do we know? I know he's been in that contract.
He's like a hold in.
Yeah, so like
I don't know. Mike Tomlin said he's going to play.
One of the better interior defensive linemen in the league might not play too. So
Mike Tomlin said that he might play. I think Mike Tomlin thinks he's going to play, but
Mike Tomlin. I'm certainly
confirmed.
expecting Cam Hayward to play against the Jets 6 hours ago, NBC Sports. So take it that way you will. It doesn't have to be true.
Yeah. I think a big matchups in this game are both right tackles for both teams. The rookie that the Steelers drafted last year, forget his name, but I think he was hurt all year. He's starting at right tackle for them, and Armand Membu's Jets' first-round pick this year, starting at right tackle, both going against the other team's best pass rusher, TJ and Will McDonald. So I think both of those guys are going to have big games, and we'll see who gets a strip sack score or something crazy goes on. I'm taking the Jets here. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, though. I could see it being like Justin Fields throws the ball 14 times and Aaron Rodgers throws it 43, and the Jets win like 14-10 or something like that. So,
okay. All right. Before we get to the next game, fan comment. This was responding to Cam taking the over, or did you take the under? He says we were talking about.
Took the over.
We were talking about an Arthur Smith offense and Justin Fields on the Jets in all capitals.
Why is that all caps? Gabe S. Stein.
This game is disgusting. Take the under. I do feel like there's going to be I feel like last year I was trying to hit that, take the over on the Steelers every game, and it just wouldn't work because they do play this kind of grind them out game. So we'll have to see. It is a new year. I keep saying that, so we'll have to see what the narratives are this year. All right, last 1:00 game. Other New York team, the Giants, head to D.C. Giants at Commanders. Mikey, we'll kick it back to you. What do you think about the other team that plays in New York this week, heading to Jaden Daniels' year 2 campaign beginning?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit of a sophomore slump from Jaden Daniels. Maybe not like he's a bottom or a 20th ranked quarterback, but he's going to be like middle of the pack quarterback. And the Commanders didn't really do much around him in this offseason. They kind of kept everything the same.
Samuel.
They're one of the older teams in the league. I think they might be the oldest team in the league. And there's a lot of hype coming out of Giants camp, and I kind of am buying into it because Giants fans are, I don't know, semi-smart-ish, I guess. They know when their team's going to be bad. And Russ is a statue in the pocket, just like Aaron Rodgers, and he takes the most sacks in the league every year, so that could play against them. Maybe we'll get a little Jackson Dart early in the year. But, yeah, I'm taking the Giants.
That's what I'm trying to motion, throw darts. I don't think darts can do it.
It's not going to happen.
Not yet.
Nodding your head in agreement on
Week 10 or something like that.
Yeah, I am definitely backing Mikey on this. I'm with the Giants plus the 5.5. Kind of going off of that Dallas-Philly matchup. I know it's on a Thursday night. This is a 1:00 game, but divisional NFC East matchup, always play each other relatively close, even though the difference in talent can be very diverse. I think we talked about it last week. I think almost all of us in agreement were the fact that we're expecting a little bit of a step back from the Skins, and I'm anticipating that one. The Skins. Sorry. I can yell into the mic if you want me to. But unfortunately, I would have been more comfortable with this if we had maybe Jackson Dart starting at quarterback, even though I know he's a rookie. But I mean, I think Russ can make it a manageable game, keep it close. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna make terrible decisions.
Let him cook.
But
Russ Cook, that's facts.
I think the Giants keep this within a touchdown of a game. So I'm going to take the dogs in this fight, and I'm going to go with the plus 5.5 with the Giants. I also really like the under. The over/under is 45.5. I can see this being an extremely low-scoring game, one of the most low-scoring games out of the entire 1 o'clock slate. So I'm leaning towards that as my main pick, as opposed to Giants plus the 5.5. But for the sake of the pod, going to go with Russ with the points here.
Yeah, so I took the Giants as well. I thought I would have a niche pick. I guess not.
Dude,
I
we're cooked. All of our bets
had
just
some
absolutely
different
blow up in our face.
I think. Well, last year we all did really well. So like you're almost at 60%. Me and Mikey are about 50%. I was hovering around like 55. So it's bound to not be as good as last year unless we just become like absolute sharps, which probably isn't going to happen. That being said, definitely take our picks. But I do like the Giants to cover 5.5. I feel like that's a weird number where like you look at this game, it's in Commanders City. It's, Jane Daniels is like the superstar of the NFL right now. He's the darling. The Giants have freaking almost 40-year-old Russ. And it's like, we're really going to try Russ on his like fourth team in the last couple of years. And this is going to work somehow. And all of a sudden they're plus 5.5. I just think everything's telling me to take the Giants. Who's even on the Giants skill group? Like Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatabo. It's like,
Whoa. Why are we hating on Tyrone Tracy?
He's fumbles a lot, apparently.
Malik Neighbors.
Right,
Yeah.
Malik. Okay, so maybe Malik does some things in this game.
Darius Slayton.
Terry's off the
Jalen Hyatt. Apparently him and Russ have a connection. Deep ball.
Hyatt is apparently off one. Has like not caught a pass in the NFL.
Yeah, but he
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. Anyways, where was I at? Oh yeah, Terry was like holding in. Debo, a lot of people are saying, he looks fat. I'll say that, but I haven't seen it. Maybe he is washed, but maybe he compliments Terry well. I don't know. Zach Ertz is somehow still in the league. Trade away Brian Robinson. They're putting a lot in this Bill guy that everyone's hyping up. I don't know if he's going to be good. Austin Eckler is also pretty old, so I don't think the outlook of this Commanders team is as promising as even it was at the end of last year. Where I don't think this is going to end well for them, especially later on in the season, but I think they can get a close win here over the Giants. I just think it's going to be pretty close. So I'm taking the Giants plus 5.5. All right, more comments from the chat. Gabe says, Tyrone's the GOAT.
Okay, interesting. So that's another Charlotte boy coming into the comment section. He might be calling in a little bit, but very intrigued on his opinion. He's a Falcons fan too, so we might take his opinions with a grain of salt from here on out. But
all right,
that's a tough look.
Well, he's got something else, Mikey. I'm not sure if you're ready to read this one. Can we please stop acting like New York football teams, not named the Bills, are going to be a dumpster fire this year?
I mean, I understand. I understand where he's coming from, but like dumpster fires, very like. Define a dumpster fire for the Jets. Like, how much are you really expecting out of the Jets? From a Jets perspective, Mikey, like, what are you really expecting from out of them?
What am I expecting from them?
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 wins. Somewhere in there.
Oh, brother.
That's high. That's high.
You got a big storm coming.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, see, if I'm a Jets fan, I'd probably think 5 wins, and then I think you're hovering around that.
Yes,
and
every NFL fan is like, we're going to have 5 wins this year.
Yep.
But all right, sorry. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Jets have a little bit lower expectations for the majority of the league.
Michael.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be objective.
No, really.
You'll see.
The over-under on the wins is like 5.5, 6.5.
It was 6.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're gonna get the over, and they're gonna get 7, 8, or 9.
Okay.
You're lucky I didn't put them in the
playoffs. That 7 seed. that's a lot of wins.
Jets are the 7 seed. That'd be crazy. All right. I see a little rivalry here brewing between Gabe and Mikey. Very anti-Jets.
Yeah, this kid's hating.
It's time to head to 4 o'clock. A team that we all hated last season, the Tennessee Titans, are 7.5-point underdogs heading to altitude. Cam put up an X for some reason. I don't know what that means. What's your pick for this game?
Anti-Titans. I was surprised that my Titans reaction that you sent to the group chat today was not the cover of the first pod, because that is insane. The fact that you think the Titans would actually win 7 games this year. I am hammering Denver on this. This is one of my favorite picks of the entire day. 7.5 is a lot, don't get me wrong, but with this team, I mean, on the road in a difficult city to play in, difficult stadium, rookie quarterback, first game, first start. I'm going with Denver minus 7.5. I love the under at 42.5 too. But yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say other than that. Cam Ward sucks, and the Titans will always suck. So
What has Cam Ward done to you? Did he lose you money against?
he went to Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. You just go to Miami, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Like Carson Beck. Carson Beck's dead to me, even though he cost me a decent amount of money this weekend. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, we kind of have gone over that.
Yeah.
Michael, you kind of already spoiled your pick for those close listeners out there, but go ahead and tell us why you'll be taking the team you are.
I didn't spoil the pick because I was lying before, and I take the Broncos on this one. I don't really have anything else to say. I kind of don't agree with Cam that the Titans are going to be horrible. I think they'll be like a fighting kind of team. I think this is a. I mean, if you're taking the Titans in this game, you think they're going to win, because the Broncos either lose big or win big, as we saw last year.
It's a new year, Michael.
No, the Titans shall be.
New year, new Titans.
You should put in the description that the Titans are anti. Like, you cannot touch the Titans at all on this podcast if you listen to it.
It's a new year.
It's a new year. We literally removed them from the ban list. The AI even caught that.
I did not. I never agreed with that. That was never discussed with me on removing them from the ban list. They're still on my ban.
Everyone has their own ban list. Right now, my ban list is clean. There's probably some UFC fighters that I'll need to disclose. But, that being said, my ban list for team sports is clean right now. So we'll have to see. It's a slow season. It's only week 1. You're coming into the season. I think that could lose you a lot of money potentially down the road. That all being said, I'm taking the Tennessee Titans to cover the spread in this game. I think rookie
and win.
No, I think it's going to be close. I think it leads low scoring, where I think Bo Nix is not going to be as good this year, and I also think
on the road.
Who? The Titans? Yeah. I feel like rookies kind of do well in their first game on the road. I'm just making that up out of thin air.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? What kind of stats?
That's ChatGPT.
That's ChatGPT. But no, I think people are sleeping on what the Titans have. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We have all types of veterans. You have Tony Pollard. You have Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett. Learn the name Alec Iomanner.
Who?
He destroyed Houston's defense. He's a Stanford wide receiver. No ball. Defense.
Oof. Tough luck. Since 2003, 0-13 against the spread.
But yeah, we love rookie quarterbacks. And
records are meant to be broken, and Cam Ward. Okay, I'm taking the Titans. I think this is, a spot where people are like, oh, the Broncos made the playoffs last year. This is an easy game for them to win. I don't think so. I got the Titans covering the spread. The chat is being blown up right now. Okay, so flashing back to why Cam said he hates Cam Ward, it is because he's lost you a lot of money. Don't let him fool you. So this is a nice chat here where the chat's exposing. We can have double sources, boots in the ground. Survivor pool. Is anyone playing Survivor pool? Connor J in the chat says Broncos. Are they your Survivor pool pick this week?
No.
Who's your pick?
I haven't decided my Survivor pick, but honestly, maybe Patriots week 1.
Ooh.
That's a basketball right there.
Well, maybe Connor's in agreement with you. He says go Pats.
Okay.
So maybe he's got, after asking the Survivor question, maybe he's got the
probably
Pats.
Denver. Honestly, the fact that you're taking Tennessee at plus 7.5 is crazy.
Yeah, I did get this. Will be a litmus test for me where I obviously got burned a lot. I'm not being as emphatic as I was last year about the Malik Willis game. So we got to hold our whatever reservations are held. But I'm just trying to see I think this is going to be a wonky week one where people are kind of expecting things to go, because like all the talk is that like you listen to any football podcast, like, oh, it's going to be exactly like last year. That never happens. There's always 4 new playoff teams. It's going to be different. There's going to be upsets. It's not just straight pick 'em. Like, and last year was so chalky that I just think we're due for some chaos to happen. So that's where my head's at. I think Cam Ward, I trust it's going to be good. Okay. Gabe says Bo Nix is going to cover by himself. So I don't know what this means, but I'm not high on Bo Nix.
He probably means that he's going to run for 2 and then they win by 7 or 10 is what he probably means. But he also doesn't – he's no longer allowed to gamble. Let's put it at that front.
Who's put that restriction on him?
Not me. I've encouraged it, but he doesn't listen to it.
Got it. So there is a ball knower with us. Alec Iamaner. You guys are going to know the name in like 3 years. Funny joke. They got Logan Ryan back there. I think he was on the broadcast for Hawaii Stanford. Or was that somebody else?
I don't think it was him.
I feel like I saw Logan Ryan pop up somewhere. No way he's still in the league.
A sideline reporter? That'd be electric. He was on the sideline.
He's a commentary guy. I think he's a color guy. Connor J is going Pats week 1 Survivor. No bullshit. So you guys can ride together on that if you want for your Survivor pool.
Tempting.
And Gabe wants to start a Survivor pool with you. He says it sounds like free money.
Okay.
I mean, organized pretty easily.
We can have a separate conversation on that. That doesn't have to be discussed on the pod.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to hear the numbers on that. So, last comment before we get to the next game. Faux 50 yards, 4 tuds, sorry ad defense. So I feel like, there is a lot of tight. Maybe was Gabe someone who was betting on the Titans a lot last year and then got burned by him because they just couldn't cover a spread?
I don't know. He might just be extremely boozed up and can't type, where none of that made sense. But, I mean.
Seems like there's some bias against the Titans for some reason. Anyways, we head out west, NFC West, a division that Cam also didn't like, where, the kind of theme of this podcast is what does Cam like. But 49ers heading to Seattle. A lot of people expecting Seattle to be I don't know what people are expecting Seattle. People are expecting 49ers to be better this year. Michael, what do you think? Your guy, Sam Darnold, will you be taking your avatar?
Franchise with 2.5 points covering that. I don't see the 49ers being too great this year. They got a lot of stuff going on with their wide receiver room. I'm not a big Brock Purdy guy. He slings the rock a bit. I've seen him miss receivers by 20 yards over their head. So, yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks in this one. I'm definitely going to try and watch this game. I think this is I want to see Sam play. He's my GOAT.
4 o'clock window is actually pretty good, especially
it is.
Sam Ward keeps it competitive.
But yeah, I like the Seahawks in this one.
Okay, Cam, you're very.
Yeah, I mean, no. I was definitely in agreement on the 4 o'clock slate being much more intriguing. That's definitely one where I want the multi-screen, especially on teams that I don't necessarily fully invested in, but I feel like they're going to be more entertaining games to watch. I don't want to spoil anything for the later episodes of this, but I love the over on this game. It was at 42.5. In the NFC West, I feel like both these teams' defenses are not the same as what they were anticipating. The 49ers defense was arguably one of the best ones in the NFC, I feel like, when they were going on their championship runs. And clearly they're not the same team. However, I feel like the Seahawks have so many question marks on the offensive side of the ball where I'm going to take the 49ers minus the 2.5. But I also really like the over on this. I don't know. I feel like the 49ers hopefully, maybe there's a random report that comes out in the next 2 days, but seems like Christian McCaffrey's healthy. Seems like they got George Kittle on a new contract who's also fully healthy. I can see them beating a team that really Sam Darnold hasn't had maybe 1 or 2 weeks of spring training or spring ball experience with. So I'm going to lean with the 49ers on this minus the 2.5, even though they're going on the road. I have heard that the Seahawks home field hasn't been as much of an advantage as well. So in the past recent 2 to 3 years, but yeah, to take a rest, I'm going with the Niners minus 2.5.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot in last week's podcast. I really like the 49ers this year. I think there is there is a culture there as long as you have Kyle Shanahan that they are expected to win games. And last year kind of crashed out because everyone just got hurt at the wrong time, which you hope that doesn't happen. But we like Christian McCaffrey to be like a contender for comeback player of the year. I think a couple of us are talking about. So I think, if even he's back on track and playing like as close as he was to 2 years ago, this is going to be a pretty good football team. You can just hand him the rock and worry about everything else later. Like that makes Brock Purdy kind of be a game manager. And I think as a game manager, Brock could be pretty good. It's not beyond that. I'm not sure, but I think there's enough there where I'm confident taking this 49ers team, especially with Sam Darnold trying to get in this new offense. There is JSN. He does have like just JSN basically, or Cooper Kupp. I don't know. 34-year-old Cooper Kupp could do something, maybe, probably not. But I like the Niners to win this game. It will be close though. These NFC West games are I feel like the closest games, just division-wise for some reason. So
because they all suck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty good. So I like the 49ers to cover this, get back on track, start off 1-0 this year. Question from Eric. He says, we think McCaffrey survives this season.
I vote. So when he says survives, I think he means playing every game this year. I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah, I don't think he plays every game.
I think
what would you set the number at?
11.5.
Under.
11.5, I take the over. At 13.5, I take the under. I think he's playing 12 games probably.
So, yeah, I could see that. I could see him playing. I honestly think he'll play a lot more. I think he'll play. I think he'll miss one.
It's also beneficial when you have Brian Robinson coming in too to take a lot of those.
Yeah, and they have Garindo and they have another kid out there.
Yeah.
So I think if you manage him right, and the thing is when he goes out, these guys just come in and ball anyway, so you might as well give him some carries.
I'm just nervous that they're going to get into a desperate spot. Hypothetically, if they lose week 1, and then McCaffrey's going to need 30 touches week 2, and then it's almost like you need 30 touches almost every week to keep us competitive within the entire aspect of the season. That's where I get nervous with McCaffrey. But if you can manage to pull out games with him only touching the ball 20 times, I think you have a shot at him playing the majority of the season, if not the entirety of it.
Well, luckily for me and you, we both just took the 49ers to win.
Yeah.
All right. This one I think is America's game of the week, if I had to guess. Lions, Packers. Packers, we kind of know where I'm at. That.
Yeah.
Where I think the Packers are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they beat the Lions, who I think is going to have a come down year. So I like the Packers to win this game. 2.5 doesn't bother me too much. I do like the Packers to cover the spread there as well. I think, fully healthy Jordan Love can show something. And the last time the Lions played was that surprising upset loss to the Commanders. So there still might be some feelings there. Lions, I think, didn't do a ton this offseason to really move me either way. They do get Hutchinson back, which will be a big piece. But obviously these games are always close as well. NFC North. So I do think this will come down to the wire. But in Green Bay, week 1, I just don't think the Lions are going to have what it takes to come in there and kind of punch teams in the mouth. I think they're going to be a more subdued version of what they were last year. So I got the Packers covering the spread here. What do you think, Cam?
So we kind of talked about it last week, even before the Micah trade, which obviously is a huge swing, obviously, especially betting odds of Green Bay going to the Super Bowl. But I'm also huge on it's tough to play an opponent several times throughout the year. So I think this is one early on that Detroit gets. So I'm actually going with Detroit plus the 2.5. Green Bay gets them in the second matchup and then maybe later on in the playoffs as well. But I know it's very early on in the season. No one really knows who they are. You got I assume, I haven't done too much research on their defense coming back from injury. But, I mean, they had, we talked about it on the Week 0 podcast for the futures. They're playing with guys coming off the street. This is, I feel like I would hope, is a relatively improved offense from what they were dealing with going on their playoff run. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions plus the 2.5. Hopefully their defense holds up and their offense is relatively as consistent as they were last year. And especially the running back core of splitting it between Gibbs and Montgomery, I think is going to take a wear and tear on the Green Bay defense. We're not sure if Mike is going to play. I know Dub thinks he is, but at the same time, I don't know. The two running back core, I like the Lightning and the Thunder. I don't know. I mean, we kind of talked about it every single week. I feel like last year I was a huge Gibbs and Montgomery guy, especially with Detroit. So I'm gonna go with Detroit, even though they're on the road. NFC North matchup. I don't know. I like plus the points. I might like them to win outright, honestly. But
Okay. Michael, you have a tie to break.
I am going to break the tie. Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers here. I think the losing of both coordinators and a couple other assistant coaches for the Lions is
Oh yeah, I didn't mention
under
that.
talked about, and I think they're going to need a little bit of time to get their act together. The offense came straight from Ben Johnson, and the defense was probably like 75% Aaron Glenn. So they're going to have to figure out what's going on there. I think it takes a couple weeks for them to get into gear. I like the Packers in this one. I could see it being a very close game, field goal at the buzzer or something like that, break the tie, 3-point game, something like that. But yeah, I'm taking the Packers here.
Okay. Wrapping up 4 o'clock, we have an interesting cross-conference matchup. 2 teams that were in the playoffs last year both made it to the divisional round where they both lost games. But we have the Texans heading to the Rams. Mikey, we'll kick it back to you. What do you think? I feel like you're always kind of a Rams guy. What do you think about this week 1 matchup for them? No, shaking your head.
Not a Rams guy. I'm kind of confused why this is 2.5 for the Rams. I feel like it should be even at least. I don't know. I feel like I'd take the Texans like with a point or something like that, but I'm gonna take the Texans here. I think the defense that they have against this Rams offense, with a couple weapons missing and Stafford being like old and like I don't even know what's going on health wise with him. Something weird. And I know their left tackle is also, I don't think, playing in this week 1 game. So I think the Texans defense, who was very good last year, has a lot of room for improvement just based on the growth of like individual players as well as a couple additions they made. And I think the Rams are going to have a little bit of a down year this year, so I'm taking the Texans.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Texans. All the reports out of the Rams camp, I just can't do it. And, you lost Cooper Kupp, who is kind of fading out, but obviously Puka is Puka and Kyron Williams. I'm not sold on it. I guess they do have a bunch of young guys now, the Rams, which is good for their future, but I don't know. I don't trust the Rams as much as I did last year, where last year I took them to make the playoffs off the rip. This year, I think it's going to be a struggle for them to win some of these games. I think the Texans is a tough week 1 matchup where they were kind of beat up last year, so they get all their guys back somewhat. So I think I don't know. This is like probably my least favorite game to pick. So I think it's gonna be a really close game, a really good game. But I'll take the 2.5 of the Texans. Hope for an upset by them, or just keeping it close enough where it's like maybe a low scoring game, 17-15, something like that. Cam, what do you think?
I'm going the opposite way. I think the Rams have. Yeah, you're welcome. I feel like the Rams have brought in within the past 3 to 4 years a decent defensive line that's younger and then also progressing. I feel like Houston's kind of struggled with their offensive line and then also getting rid of Laremy Tunsil this past offseason. I kind of like the Rams at home -2.5, kind of the same thing. I know it's not that much of a difference on week 1, but I know they're in the Midwest, but still going to the West Coast, and the Rams might not necessarily be like a home field advantage, quote unquote, but they're still playing on the West Coast. I think the Devontae Adams versus Cooper Kupp situation, I think, is going to benefit the Rams.
I always forget they have Devontae.
Yeah, so I always lean towards that situation too when you have a veteran quarterback. I hyped up the Texans a lot, like in the last week's pod, but I just don't think this is where they get the ball rolling. I think they really tried maybe week 2 or week 3, and then they get into divisional play, and then they obviously beat up on the shitty AFC South that I obviously hate. But
not so fast.
Yeah. So I'm leaning towards the NFC West. This is probably going to be one of my few NFC West matchups that I like. Them and the Niners. I mean, the Niners are obviously a little bit more of a different team, but this team I feel like is a lot more consistent. I like them at home. It's only a 2.5-point spread right now. I think they win by at least a field goal, especially at home with a veteran quarterback. The over-under's at 43.5, which kind of seemed a little odd to me, especially when you have two quarterbacks at C.J. Stroud and Matthew Stafford's caliber. So I'm leaning the over on that as well.
That just means hammer the under, but
yeah, okay. Sorry. Well, if you want to hammer the under based on Dub's pick, you can.
sharks out there now.
For the Dubcast, I'm leaning to the Rams -2.5 to break the little team ride on that one as well.
Okay, we have some complex thoughts in the chat before we head to the primetime games. Any thoughts on Houston offense given the question marks in the running room? So let's address this one by one. So question marks in the running room. Chubb is looking like the starter. You have Woody Marks, David Pierce still there. Mixon, I don't know if he's playing this whole year. He's out at least the first 4 weeks. Kind of a weird thing going on there. What do you think about this? I don't think it matters that much because, looking back on last year, Mixon had good weeks, but he wasn't some crazy, he's solid, dependable, but he wasn't some outstanding running back that really changed the game where I think he can kind of sub in. And although I was kind of out on Damon Pierce, it looks like he's kind of got his stuff together to the preseason this year, made the team, obviously. So I think it doesn't matter as much, especially I like Nick Chubb. There's injury questions, but I think he can kind of lead this backfield for a little bit. Any of your guys' takes on the running back situation? Anything different than I said?
I think it's a little bit more of a bigger of a deal than what you're putting off on. I think it's extremely important to establish a run game, especially with C.J. Stroud at quarterback, who's, granted, we're expecting to make him this 3-year jump onto one of the higher stages as a top quarterback in this league. And I don't think you can really do that without a run game. I know Patrick has done it, maybe, I guess, Joe as well. Even though Chase Brown is one of the better running backs, I feel like from a fantasy perspective, a lot of people like him a lot. But I don't know. I feel like you need a run game to kind of base your passing game off of, especially the play action. I'm very intrigued on this Houston team, but it's more I like them a lot because of their weaker division. As opposed to, even though, I'm curious to see how Nick Chubb plays, too. I don't know if Mikey has any thoughts on that, but I think Nick Chubb could still be a decent player in this league, honestly, even though he's relatively older. But
yeah, I don't really have too many thoughts other than what you guys said. Definitely going to be running back by committee for the first couple weeks.
yeah.
As for the Tank Dell part, I think they're going to ride Nico, and they did that last year, too. They, have a bunch of receivers that come in and out like I've dealt with in fantasy last year. They just have random guys pop off a couple weeks at a time.
Christian Kirk is there now.
Yeah. I think Nico is one of the top guys in a lot of the rankings of offensive player of the year, stuff like that. So people are thinking he's going to have a breakout year. And Stroud was consistently inconsistent last year, so I don't know what they're going to get from him this year, but I'm feeling like this is a week where he gets it done.
Braxton Berrios is in the Texans.
I don't remember fucking asking.
Okay. So, do you trust the experience
to that girl?
Of McVay? That's what girl?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sophia Culpo, Alex Earl.
Yeah.
Alex Earl. Okay. Yeah, I think we kind of addressed that one. Sunday Night Football. 2 very important AFC contenders that we haven't touched on because they're playing Sunday Night Football. Ravens,
Game
Bills.
of the week. Game
of the week. I think this is going to be a disappointment for you, buddy. Just wait till you see
I'm thinking Dolphins Colts.
Wait till you see what Cam Ward is able to do against the Denver Broncos. No, but this should be a really good game. Obviously, NBC, you can kind of just see the aura of this game. It always is what it is between the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, those types of teams. It's always good games. So we'll start with Michael. What do you think for the Ravens or the Bills?
I'm gonna take Bills at home. I think it's the at home part of this that really matters. Bills are very, very. I think they've lost like 4 games at home over the last 3 years or something crazy like that. Um, and the Ravens coming off that brutal loss last year in the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like they're not fading or anything like that, but I think that would be in their mind. I think the Bills get it done, bringing back all their guys. Um, James Conner with new contract, their receiver room staying pat. Yeah, I think Bills get it done.
Okay. Cam?
I'm going the other way. I'm going with the Ravens. I honestly feel like they had a more consistent offseason, if not a better offseason, trying to improve their roster. Bringing in, I believe it was Marshawn Lattimore that signed with them.
Jair
Obviously,
Alexander.
Jair Alexander. Yeah, no, Marshawn Lattimore. But still an upgrade at the cornerback position. And then also, I feel like the receiving core is definitely a step up above from the Bills. I mean, I definitely take Zay Flowers over Kihil Shakir, whatever his name is. Keon Coleman, I haven't really seen a lot out of him. They also,
Still here too.
yeah, and the Ravens bring in Deion Hopkins. And then it's also the running back room. I like James Conner, but Derrick Henry's someone that you can't really argue against, like one of the better running backs probably since the past, 10 years that we've been a part of. I feel like he's been pretty dominant, even though he's getting older, but I feel like he's still a relatively dominant force in the inside. And the combination with Lamar, I feel like, is very difficult to bet against. So I'm going with them. And it's also kind of the same thing I talked about with the Detroit Lions and the Packers, where it's like maybe Baltimore gets his first game, and then maybe this is Buffalo's year to get over the hump and they beat them in the playoffs to get to that Super Bowl potentially winning year against whoever's coming out of the NFC. But
Packers.
exactly. Yeah, I know we both talked about that, but I don't know. I feel like this is kind of not written on the wall, but also the over-under is extremely, extremely high at 50.5. 50.5 week 1 on Sunday night. I don't know. I'm really liking the under on that, but we'll kind of get into that I kind of have a little play on the Focus 5. It might be a fun 5 for me this week 1, but
that's always good. Yeah, to break the tie, I'm also taking the Ravens. I don't know. I think the Bills hype train is a little too high right now. I don't know if it's because they're on Hard Knocks, and I haven't even watched the last 2 episodes. I guess an episode's out right now that just came out.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Bills didn't do much, man, where the Ravens actually – well, I did like some of their like under-the-radar signings. Like I think Joshua Palmer could pay off long-term. I thought KJ Hamler could be something. He got cut. But I think, at home, that is something to say for the Ravens not being able to win this game. But I do think head coaching, they have a better coach, slightly worse quarterback. I do think this could be a high-scoring game and probably the game of the week just due to the nature of it. But I like the Ravens to win this game. It's pick them. Their Vegas is almost saying that the Ravens are better because it's Bills minus 1.5, 2.5 swing for the home team. Just saying. So I like the Ravens to cover the spread and win this game outright here. And we have one last game, Monday night, the Vikings and the Bears. I'll start this one out while Cam is on rest break. I'm taking the Bears, plus 1.5. I'm going back-to-back plus 1.5s. I just said it last week on the pod. I don't trust JJ McCarthy. I think Caleb, this is the year that he's got to get his stuff together where, I kind of mentioned that dichotomy of the quarterbacks who played well last year having sophomore slumps, while the guys who kind of slacked are able to rise up and play better in year 2. So I guess this technically is year 2 for JJ McCarthy, but he's technically a rookie. I don't trust him at all, especially no Addison week 1. Bears at home, Chicago, they got all the hype. They got Colson Loveland, they got Roma Dunze, they got Luther Burden. They just have better all-around weapons, which is crazy to say. I do like the Bears' weapons, although they don't have the best player. And, that defense should be better. The offensive line should be better. So I think this is going to be a close game, another good game, but I'm taking the Bears plus 1.5. Michael?
I'm with you 100%. Don't trust JJ. Rookie, I don't think this counts towards the rookie quarterback against the spread in week ones, but it should because he is not technically a rookie. So yeah, Bears all the way.
Cam?
I'm going to break the team right. I'm going with Minnesota. I feel like this is one of my favorite picks of the entire weekend, honestly, is seeing that -1.5 is one of the shortest spreads. I feel like one of the better rosters in the entire NFL. If not, I mean, even just the AFC in general, if not the NFC North. I mean, we kind of talked about it last week. I like the NFC North a lot, but this team kind of stands out to me. I really like JJ. I know you guys didn't really like him based off last week's podcast, but -1.5 at Chicago when you got a lot of variables there. Relatively, I mean, you have the two top receivers returning, but at the same time, you have a new offensive. You have a coach coming in who's an offensive coordinator, and
Guru.
Okay, but I mean, you've never seen him at the head coach position. At the same time, you've seen Kevin O'Connell do wonders, as I mentioned last week, with random people like Josh Dobbs, who's currently the Pats backup quarterback, who's looked terrible in training camp. I love the Vikings -1.5, so I'm definitely going that way, and that might be one of my favorite picks of the weekend, which we can kind of go into in our next segment, but obviously going against the grain compared to you two.
Okay. Well, I got news for you. It's 2 segments from now because we're introducing the Doof of the week. DOUF. We have 2 people who are going to come in and give their favorite dog over under and favorite, and they're not here to join us because, of course. But we were sent the representation.
We do have their picks. The pick is in.
Both picks?
Both picks are in.
Okay, so we have Mark, frequent caller last season. Tendy started calling on towards the end. Please read us the doof for week 1 from both of these fine gentlemen.
Right. So those of you that don't know, it is the dog and the over, the under, and the favorite of the week. Usually they come out to about between like 11 and 13.
Is this a parlay or is
the
this
odds? Yes.
Pick? Oh, it's a parlay.
Is a parlay.
Oh, so if we hit a doof, we're going to Vegas. We're done. Podcast is over.
So Mark has the Dolphins as his underdog.
Lame underdog.
1.
Lame underdog. Just have to put that out there.
Sorry.
A +1 underdog? That's not really. That's like a pick'em.
Hey, it got to 1,200 this parlay. So
this can build up the next week. We can definitely talk about this piece here. Go ahead. Sorry.
We got as the over. We got 49ers Seahawks at 43.
Love that.
The under of the Cardinals and the Saints also at 43. I think Cam said both of those earlier. Yep. And then Broncos as the favorite at -7.5 for a total of +1,200.
Okay.
And then Nicholas Sisson had the Dolphins as well as his underdog. Cardinals Saints over 43.5. Bengals Browns under 47.5. I don't know about that one. And his favorite of the week was the Washington team.
Respect. Do we have full odds on that?
No.
Okay.
Not 10 days.
Say that real quick.
The whole thing?
Run it back.
I guess just send me this after. Send me this after. This is bad.
You want me to run this back? I thought I said it slow enough for you.
I wasn't paying attention to that. Was that okay?
Right.
Doesn't matter. Now that we're done with the doof, it's time for the boys in the Focus 5. So we'll start in the order. This year, announcing a change to the Focus 5. We are no longer going to go by record. We will go by units. So every Focus 5 pick we give, I'm going to assign 1 unit. So if you lose the units. If you win the plus units. So this is kind of a segment to get a little bit crazy. If you win big, you could be doing really well with units. So we'll keep track of that throughout the year rather than the win-loss where, maybe sometimes we made money last year, but it didn't look like because the records were so bad. So I think that's something better. I'm going to need your guys' help, which we'll have an off-pod discussion maybe about that. But that all being said, we'll start with you, Michael, with your Focus 5. Take us away for week 1. What do you got?
I do not have odds on any of these, so help me out as I go, maybe.
Are they ready?
What?
Okay, sorry, go.
First, we got a money line parlay of all of the Florida teams.
Okay.
Bucks, Jags, Dolphins, all winning.
Bucks.
That's a good one.
Jags,
I'm thinking
Dolphins.
Florida,
Plus
Good
421 there on the first parlay.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Next, we're doubling down on one of those teams with the Jacksonville Jaguars money line, along with a Brian Thomas Jr. touchdown.
Okay. That gives you plus 228.
Decent. And then just a solo pick here. We're taking Cowboys plus 8.5.
Okay. That's
Whatever that was. I
straight
don't know
up.
what it was.
8.5.
And then this is a pick directly from my mother. She has the Patrick Mahomes along with a Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown, both of them to score a rushing touchdown in week 1.
Okay. Pat Mahomes is far down the list. Him on his own is plus 600, but never did.
All right.
Add in Jalen Hurts, that gives you plus 1,066 on.
Hell yeah.
I like
We're
that
getting,
a lot,
we're
actually.
getting
I'm
all
not gonna
them
lie.
units. And then finally from last one, mentioned it before, from the Steelers and Jets game, we're going to do a Will McDonald and a TJ Watt sack.
Okay, this might take me a second to find.
Because-
Oh, they only have Jets to score safety, Steelers to score safety.
Well, if
That's
anyone
reevaluate
has
and
it,
we'll establish it on the
I'll
week.
pull up FanDuel, and then Cam, you can go.
All right, sounds good. So with my fun focus 5, I kind of broke it up. So we have a pre-Sunday bet. It's going to be the first one. It's going to be the Hurts touchdown, kind of on Mikey's wavelength. But I'm also going to parlay that with McConkey to score a touchdown. So your two games before Sunday, that's going to be plus 327 on the blue. I don't know what it's currently at. That was what it was before the pod. But then also I have it for each slate. So the best game of the slate, obviously going to be the Pats and the Raiders. We got Pat's money line and Drake May to run for a touchdown, plus 419. Really like that. I really like Drake's mobility, and especially their red zone offense is definitely more reliant currently on Drake's legs and maybe Travion's legs, which is something you might want to keep an eye out for too with Travion's score. But Drake had better odds, so I took Drake. In the 4 o'clock slate, I had my classic. I had this a lot last year if you guys were following along. But I had the Lions money line and then both running backs. And this won me a lot of he keeps sighing over here, the host of the pod. But one of my.
I just think Montgomery is, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, with those two scoring the Lions to win the game, it's at plus 578, which I really like. Moving on to the Sunday slate, so I like to kind of spread it out. That way I have bets on each game that I'm watching. So Sunday night game, obviously it's a huge matchup between Baltimore and Buffalo. Necessarily not sure who's going to win that game. I didn't pick a winner. So for my 4th fun focus 5, I'm going to do Lamar anytime tutty and then Josh anytime tutty. A little quarterback running action. I think both of them are obviously extremely mobile, and they could both easily score a touchdown. And that way you don't have the pressure of picking a winner in that game. And that was at plus 464. Lamar was relatively high on running for a touchdown that game. But that was my 4th pick. And then my last one's going to be for the Monday night game. We already talked about how high I am on Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to be Vikings money line and then McCarthy to throw for 2 or more touchdowns. And that's at plus 187, one of the lower odds on the Focus 5. But with the weapons around McCarthy, I mean, I can't see that being – he could even throw a screen pass to Aaron Jones and that being a little gimme of a touchdown. But he also has Hawkinson. He has currently Justin Jefferson. I know he doesn't currently have Jordan Addison, but I'm sure they'll find one receiver to step in. And then we talk about Kevin O'Connell kind of directing that offense. But that's my Focus 5 of the week, kind of laying it out for before Sunday, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then also the Monday night game. So those are my fun focus 5.
All right. We've done our research, guys, on the research on Mikey's last parlay. So TJ Watt and Will McDonald both to get a sack. TJ Watt by himself is minus 205. So them together gives you plus 196 in the same game parlay, FanDuel Sportsbook. So that we'll have that. Okay. Before we get to my focus 5, we did have a comment from the chat. Mom knows ball. So Gabe's back in the Mahomes Hurts parlay there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so my time, focus 5. I did some weird stuff that, like, I'm just hoping one of these works, and then I'll just like keep doing that the rest of the year. So the first one I did a couple times last year. It's the window TD parlay. I'm not including Thursday or Friday or Monday. Like, that's just too stressful to have the bet like lasting over a couple of days. So this is one for 1 o'clock, one for 4 o'clock, and one for Sunday night. We kept it somewhat pretty simple where I have T. Higgins scoring for the Bengals, plus 135. Gibbs, I do like Gibbs to get an end zone, minus 105. And then James Cook, plus 105. All three of those together give you plus 840. So I'm really liking those odds. I think you're kind of hedging on T. Higgins and them being able to score a lot against the Browns, which I think could happen. Next one was a Thursday night parlay that I was looking to use my no sweat on. I told the boys I didn't press the no sweat button, so this is an actual bet I have. We teased the Cowboys up to 10.5. Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams is going to take a lot of people by surprise. It's been a not so subtle rumor that he's basically the lead back. So I think if the Cowboys are going to score, they're going to score on the ground at one point. I think it's going to go to Javonte. I think he'll get in the end zone. And then the last one is Jalen Hurts on the touchdown as well. So I'm following Mud, at least in that aspect. But I think, when you have the tush push, when you have Jalen Hurts who can even run it from like 5 or 6 yards out, I'm liking that. So all three of those together, plus 650. Now for another money line parlay, this is the keep it simple, where I think all these teams will win the game no matter what. Covering is a different story maybe, but I like the Commanders to win against the Giants, Bengals win against the Browns, Cardinals win against the Saints. Not the best odds, plus 164, but I think going into the week betting all three of those teams to win, if you lose, you're like, fuck it, whatever's going to happen was going to happen. Next, for the 4 o'clock window, teasers. So we have the 49ers, who are 2.5 favorites. I'm teasing them to be 3.5 point underdogs. My Tennessee Titans, we're teasing up to 10.5. And then the Texans, I'm also teasing up to 7.5. Those two together give you plus 218. Final pick is the underdog, my underdog pick of the week, an actual underdog, a 3-point underdog. And they play on Friday night, the Chargers money line, plus 142. Got some long shots in there, got some shorter odds, but we'll see who ends up on top of the Focus 5 after week 1. Before we go, we do have the classic. I asked Cam about his NCAA opinions. We only have one ranked matchup this week between Oklahoma and Michigan. If you want to give your pick on that, I'll pull up the spread right now. But if there's anything else you had your eye on for this week, kind of a lower key week, but it's still non-conf, so there's some fun stuff across the board if anything piqued your interest.
I'm huge on Michigan this week. Bryce Underwood looked extremely good last week. I know they played against New Mexico, so obviously it was kind of a gimme for him. But arm was electric. We didn't get to see him to run the ball as much as probably some Michigan fans would have, which kind of makes me think he might be sneaking for a tutty this week. So I'm kind of leaning towards Michigan and parlaying that with Underwood to score like a rushing touchdown, obviously. But I don't know. Overall, in general, for the college football week of my main game that I'm going to watch is that Michigan-Oklahoma game, and I'm going to take Michigan, probably money line, straight up, and then maybe dabble a little bit in the Michigan and the Bryce Underwood for a rushing touchdown. But that's my main college pick of the week right there.
I'd probably go Oklahoma, but
okay, fuck you.
John Mateer, dude. Heisman. Don't sleep. All right.
I kind of liked Auburn last week. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if they have a matchup against a top 25 team, but Jackson Arnold looked very good last weekend.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. But last weekend he looked very good. I would be very nervous if I was in the SEC. Jackson Arnold might they might be a scrappy team that will blow some teams' college football playoffs dreams up.
What about a team like Ball State?
Absolutely not. No, they will not have a shot at anything.
Well, they played Auburn this week, 43.5. Auburn is favored by.
I would take the over on the 43.5, honestly. They looked really good against Baylor on the road.
Okay. I don't even know what you're saying. All right. Any final thoughts before we get to anything? No, we have nothing left to get to. Final thoughts before we wrap up the pod.
I went 60% last year, and these guys went below that. Kind of my final thought.
Okay.
This is the new year.
Yeah, I mean, it's up
The
to the
Titans are no longer banned, so anything can happen.
They are absolutely.
I cannot wait until the Titans went out right now. I text the chat. I know it's going to be ghost town. We do have comments from the viewers as we head out. Eric says, love the over. I think he may have been referring to the Auburn pick. And one last comment, maybe, keep some temperatures down of people who are flexing. This is coming from the guy who said that UNC was going to, quote unquote, surprise people this year. And now he's coming back to get me. He says, I'll be back after the Titans get smoked. I take the hits as we go on. I don't act as like a holier than thou figure. I do take my losses in stride. I banned the Titans immediately after last year, after that performance. So I'm not sleeping on it. Don't think you are fading the comments. I have my picks set out for weeks or for the whole week. I don't give a shit about the comments. Y'all just come in here and troll out. I got it. Most of the time I'm taking the troll. Cam just gives it back to the people. That's why they don't like him, but I take it on the shoulder. All right. Enough said. Good stream. Thanks. We had a couple new viewers in the chat, a couple consistent people. So we'll be back. Hopefully Wednesday, 7 p.m. We had the dumbass fantasy draft we have to do tomorrow. That kind of persuaded the thing here. But hopefully we'll be back every Wednesday, 7 p.m. We'll recap week 1. We'll get into week 2 and beyond. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Be easy, y'all.